Yeah, hello everyone. Today, as the last part of this year's Snapshot series on StableNet Innovation Lab, I want to talk about one more topic that we have been looking at in the last time. So, other than in some of the other webinars where we are showing existing features of StableNet or soon to come features, in this case, this is not a feature I'm showing, but this is a proof of concept. We're working on getting ideas, collecting ideas collaboratively with our partners and customers, and we want to use this as a base for future work. And maybe at some point, some of these things will end up in the product, others might not, but this is just like getting in touch, trying out things and discussing with you. So I will briefly cover this today in this webinar here, and I'm very happy to go in more detail in individual discussions. So to start off here, just really quick, situating this here, we have the current collaborative projects on our community portal, and the one I'm talking about today is Beyond 2D Network Visualization. So the overall setup here we are looking at is that as a network administrator, if you want to get an understanding of your network, obviously you have many different approaches how you can do that, with dashboards, with drill downs, with trees and StableNet, with all sorts of specific analyzers and so on. And what we want to look at in this topic is if we can use additional visualizations to reveal structures of large networks without having to individually find them, but like having automated approaches to visualizing such large networks, like for instance on that sphere here that you can see turning on the left side. My live demo will show something similar. You might find this there again. And now I want to directly jump into this with the first part, quickly covering a little bit the setup, what we are looking at. For that part, I'm using the StableNet portal of this existing release 12, and I will be showing you a little bit with the existing functionality how the setup is made, and then I will jump into this Beyond 2D three-dimensional visualization. So let me first jump here to the StableNet portal. Release 12 running on our StableNet research lab. And here I'm just explaining quickly what is the setup for today's webinar. So in order to have a nice example for that visualization and also for future work, for future analysis, we have actually decided that we want to create our own synthetic ISP network in Germany based on many realistic examples that we know from research work, from literature and so on. We have created an own ISP network which resembles the realistic one. And what we generally did there is we have a typical structure going from the core over the distribution to the access with points of presence and main distribution frames. And I'm just roughly explaining this here without getting into too much detail. Again, please contact us if you want to know more. So very roughly on the main distribution frame level, we have decided that we would, for the sake of having a starting point, so we have 5 regions here: East, North, South, West, and Central region of Germany. And for the main distribution frames, for having a starting point, we have actually decided that we will do it in the way that we just assume that for each zip code number, we have one main distribution frame. This is for the sake of a synthetic network. This is not the worst approach, because roughly we can assume that the zip codes would resemble to a few thousand up to a few tens of thousands people per zip code. So this is our starting point here. We are starting with, and then from the NDFs, the next step is going to the constituencies, or in German we call this a Wahlkreis. So these are the election areas and the points of presence. So Germany is distributed into 298 roughly equally large regions for elections in Germany, and this serves for us as a good starting point, because we can then create our points of presence in these different constituencies, which gives us the next level. And from there, we are going to the distribution level, where we have just chosen, in the case of Germany, to use the federal states, the Bundesländer. So this gives us then on the next level we have several of these distribution nodes per federal state, but this gives us here a good structure. And finally, we have the core, where for each of the regions, in this case 5 regions, East, North, South, West, and Central, we have decided to have 2 core nodes. I have a second tree here, which is directly by region, so you will have these structures region by region. And from the core on, we are then moving to border nodes, where we actually have to hand over points to other networks, to peering partners, to caching partners, and so on. And altogether, this gives us the network structure. So this is just really quick for you to understand what we are handling here. And as the next step now to get into this, I will just choose one of these core nodes and go onto the neighborhood graph in the StableNet portal. And when I look into this, I can actually see that this core node is connected to other core nodes as well. Here, it's connected to the distribution nodes in the different federal states, and it's connected to border routes. So this resembles more or less a typical ISP network. And I can now increase the neighborhood level. And what I can see here is that I can see a lot of nodes, but I cannot see a lot of structure anymore. There is quite a lot here. It's obviously a connected network, but it's not, for this specific purpose, it's not so easy to grab directly the scope. I can obviously zoom in and so on. And I get the status here. In this case, I don't get link states because we have these also only as very rudimentary nodes without link measurements. That's why the links are not colored. And now I can group here with StableNet release 12. Not everyone might know that functionality. I can group it, for instance, with regarding to regions. So now I have 5 automated groups for each region, like the East region, the South region, and so on. I can also equally group it, let's say, by the respective functionality of these devices. And then I will actually, after a short waiting moment, I will get here the different. So I selected the core node, and I see here now all the core nodes together. I see all the distribution nodes and so on. So I get some understanding of the network, but obviously it's not ideal here with all the links. Also, when I change the layering, here this puts it all together, the radial. So it's for this specific purpose to get an understanding of the complete network. It's not the ideal approach. Let's say I'm using here the layering, which is also available, has been available actually for a while in the rich client, but now it's also in the portal. And here I can now say that I want to order this. Let's say I want to put the peers all to the top, then the borders, the core, distribution, and actually POP and MDF should change their place. And if I'm looking at this here now, it's getting better now. I can grab more structure, so I can see that the border nodes have different peers connected to it. So the central border has the central peers, same here. Then I have the central core nodes connected to the respective borders in the core region, in the central region. And then I have these federal states, and I have the points of presence and main distribution frames. But what I can also see is that I cannot directly grab the structure, how the different core nodes are connected to each other. And that's where I now want to, without any further waiting, jump into the 3-dimensional visualization. So here we have started to look into how we can potentially use 3-dimensional visualization to get a better understanding of such network structures and to use this as a base for further analysis and visualization. And what you can see here on the left side, you have a legend here. You can see the main distribution frames on the top in violet. Then you have the points of presence in blue, the distribution nodes in green, the core nodes in yellow, the border nodes in orange, and the peers in red. And at least what you can directly grab, even if there's a very, very large number of nodes to be seen here, you can at least see directly that there's a structure, that you can see the ring structure that has been implemented in this synthetic ISP, which according to our knowledge and what we know from other setups is a realistic approach to have such ring structures, and you can directly grab such structures here in the network. You can also then look into it in more detail, and you will get an understanding how the individual nodes are connected. We have implemented some highlighting approaches here to highlight, for instance, what other core nodes, in this case, the core node is directly linked to on the core level, and what are the outgoing points on the core level. This makes quite a lot of coloring. If I'm going to another level, this will be a little bit less. So for instance, here you have a distribution node, seeing how the distribution node is connected to two different core nodes redundantly, and then from there are the different border nodes in the exact same region. Something like this we have. Then we have also we have implemented here some other things so that we can just like play around with the structure and get a better understanding. So for instance, now I will be turning off the main distribution frame layer. This takes a short moment to remove it, and then it will be easier to move the rest and to grab the rest. So here I have now just my peers and border nodes, the core nodes, the distribution, and the points of present. And I can now, for instance, say that, let's say I want to look only at the north and south region here. So I'm applying this, and I will only have two regions left after a short moment of loading. So I can actually see that in the setup we have here, the north and the south region have no direct connection between the core nodes. We have not fully meshed this, but if I'm putting in one other region, let's say the west region, then we will see that they are connected to each other through this. So here an open circle. And now I want to move to another visualization that we have also looked at. We also asked ourselves, how does this look like if I put it on a sphere? So I take several spheres that I put one into the other with, I can show the grid here, so it's a better understanding. So you can, that's what you saw at the beginning at this animated GIF in the info card. And again, I can now switch on back all the regions. So I will have a bit more. There we are. So this is another visualization that helps to see the structure. And again, you can use the highlighting. And as I said, this is not something which is ready meant soon to be a feature, but this is something like getting an understanding how this can help motivating people for further discussion. We have already plans that we are combining this with status information in StableNet, that we can also use this, for instance, to show hotspots in the network more easily. Yes, that's more or less a short overview. I can here also switch to the border view. So in this case, I have now the border and the peer layer. The core stay the same. And I can also go back to this cylindric layout. So summing it up, this was just for the sake of time. This was just a very, very short overview of what we are looking at, giving you a short impression here of this beyond 2D visualization, the potential options of it. And I think it's up to you if you see any points fit here where you would like to cooperate. Let it be in enhancing these views with additional information. Let it be maybe also turning this into virtual reality, which is something that we are also looking at in the Catalyst work we are doing right now for Team Forum. And yeah, I want to end my short presentation with just telling you again that you, as a customer and partner, you can find such information on the community portal. You can sign up for the newsletter, or also vote for actively contributing, and we will be happy to cooperate here. And if you want to know any more details which go beyond the short time frame here of this webinar, then please feel free to contact us. Thank you very much.